Welcome back, guys. Week 4. This is all about recommendations. Before we begin with recommendations, did anybody have any questions as far as all the past weeks was, asset cleanup or data cleanup, assessments, and budget forecast? Any questions on those?
Sorry, Mark, we're week 1 here. This is our first meeting.
Hey.
Hi.
Welcome. Well, this is a recurring call, so we start over and all that good stuff. I would recommend that you book some time with me so I can get you caught up. It'd be easier for you that way, so that when we begin with week 1 again next month or next week, and as soon as that pops off, you'll be ahead of the game and you'll be able to catch up. If you are new and you need some help, let me share my screen because I totally forgot to do that because I'm an expert in Zoom after so many years. Let me admit all these people. Okay, if you are new to the call and you need to find out how to get help, or basically want to see the recordings of these calls, from the help button on the dashboard, just type in welcome, and you'll see new to lifecycle insights right there. And you'll see week 1 to week 4. It's recommendations, no longer projects, so we're going to change that name soon. And then bonus schedules, bonus episodes with quality QBRs quick and or scheduler and report builder. That won't happen again until March, because that's a 5 Wednesday month is what I was going to try and say. And I said it, which is great.
Words are hard. That's the way it goes.
Very hard. Yes, very hard. All right. Awesome. If you are onboarding with us, if you check by your name right here, you'll see a number to review onboarding tasks. Some of this is automatic. Most of it you'll actually have to check off and make sure that you're actually doing it. So if this is a do-it-yourself type of a checklist, so if you are that type of person, make sure you're in here and checking off the stuff that needs to be done for onboarding. If you are not that type of do-it-yourself, I'm going to put my Calendly on here if I can find it and make it easier. I'm going to put my Calendly on here, so book some time with me. I will help you out. I know a couple of you guys already have, and I hope they have been they have been fruitful for you guys as far as getting you guys caught up with the weeks. All right. So, lastly, if this bell right here just tells you all about the new things that we have, new releases, Report Locker and Report Builder V2 has popped off and come out. So, all right. This week we're going to be talking all about recommendations, and as far as recommendations are concerned, why do we do recommendations? It's to help eliminate risks and then to improve the status quo. Your baseline assessment with your client defines your status quo. So we talked about assessments last week, and if you need to get caught up with that, we'll take care of you for that one. So the assumption right now for this week is that you've cleaned up your data, you've run a risk assessment. Now what? Let's take some time to talk about how we pull it all together into recommendation and make it presentable to your clients. Okay, so we're going to be looking at 3 things today: recommendations from assets, recommendations from assessments, and then I'll show you the recommendations on the roadmap as well. So those 3 things. First of all, asset list recommendations. From the asset list, you can see my company, Creative Designs. I'm going to go ahead and check off and show you just end of life for these assets. And from here, I'm going to click, let's say, these workstations right here, the 4 workstations available. And I'm going to select an action. This just popped off when you selected it. And from here, scroll down, create a recommendation. From here, I'm going to select the date range. Typically, a quarter is good. But since it's already mid-January, I'm going to go to April, 4 months. As you can see now, it populates 4 months on here. You can see labor cost, material cost, replacement cost. Our happiest life cyclers have baked in labor on the replacement. It makes it easier for them to actually do that. I guess integration for that. It makes it easy to talk to the clients and say, hey, we're gonna charge you extra for this labor. You know, you don't want to tell that to that person, especially if they can go back to you and say, hey, you know what, just buy the devices, we'll set it up ourselves here, just be on the call and teach us. It doesn't work that way. So happiest ones baked in the labor cost with the replacement cost. I'm going to change the name to this: demo for call, demo for new to LCI, so I can find it, because we have so many things in our demo site. All right, so I changed the name, description. You can put this in progress. You can put this in as proposed. The probability, because you are saying it, could be 50%. And right now it's all in January, and this is where the conversation with your client: hey, Mr. Customer, I'm trying to replace these Dell Optiplexes. Most of them are, you know, just 2,000. There's one at 3,500. Do you want to do this in January, or do you want me to where does it fit on your budget that we do this? Here you can actually go ahead and say, oh, you know what, this one's in February, this one's in March, this one's in April. So that now you can see that it's been dispersed among the 4 months. Makes it easier to digest for your customer. If you've done an assessment with them, you can link an assessment item here. I'll show that to you once we do that, recommendations from assessments. I'm going to go ahead and save this recommendation. And then from here, you can create a PSA ticket that pops off right there. Save it as a template. Templates usually are run off contracts. That'd be the easiest way. So you can save this template for multiple companies that you have as clients.
Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I've been trying to, I heard what you said about bundling labor, but I would rather have a per unit cost, maybe a low-end workstation, and have the labor set and use it as an item and see it and break it out. I couldn't figure out how to do that.
So you want me to just, like, you can just add the labor here if you want to.
I want to have it, I'm going to say, I'm going to take a standard laptop of $1,100, and I'm going to charge $450 as a fixed fee to implement it. And I'd like that to be saved. So if I'm giving somebody 3 PCs, they'll see the cost properly.
Okay, so you can actually do that on the device. Where is the?
I don't think there's really a way to show it the way he's asking for it, though, Mark. I think what he's asking for is to show, you know, to pre-populate the labor broken.
Okay, yeah,
yeah. The reason we recommend replacement labor go in with the device is because the only thing that shows up on the budget is the replacement cost. So if I tell a customer, hey, you're going to spend $1,000 to replace a device, and we're planning for that today, and the replacement's going to be in 2025, and then 2025 comes around, and I go, just kidding, I'm going to charge you $500 a device to put those in. Now all of a sudden I've moved the goalpost on that customer. So, you know, it's really the best practice today is to include that, you know, everything wrapped into the device cost. I get the ask for, you know, including some sort of visibility into, you know, breaking that out into line items or something. We've talked about it. It's definitely a feature request that exists today, but it's not something that you can do in the platform as it stands today.
Got it.
Can you explains why I couldn't find it, huh?
Are you able to create 2 laptop line items, one with labor, one without labor?
You can. The issue is that wherever your source data comes from, we're going to align everything to, you know, laptops to laptops, desktops to desktops, workstations to however the data comes over. So you're kind of limited by how the data comes over. Okay. If your PSA or your documentation system is only handing us one type of laptop, then it's hard for us to break it out. So you're going to have to do a lot of that breaking it out manually is just what you have to be aware of. You know, don't make yourself a situation where everything is so manual that you go crazy. When we're doing this in the vein of trying to automate and streamline some of this. But if you have a real world scenario where you have some folks buying precision laptops or, the high end, devices from one manufacturer or another, I could definitely see a world in which you would have to do that. But it gets to be a mess, because if you think about how it comes over, and I don't know what your source data is, if you're Synchro, it breaks out desktop and laptop. If you're using the ConnectWise stack, everything comes over as a workstation. You have to break out your laptops manually anyway. And so your world is just a little different. So there's a lot of, it just depends on your scenario in that, but you absolutely could do it. The question is whether or not you should do it.
Hey, Alex, the
Yeah.
workflow we use on this, and it just made me think of a feature request. We actually put a link to the quote in the description, and the quote is then where the labor gets broken out separate from materials on the replacement. So maybe we could add a quote link field here that's got, that gives you a nice hyperlink, because when I put it in description, it doesn't give me
You lose the hyperlink.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that might be a quick and easy way. Hey, I want to see more detail about this recommendation. Click into the quote, then things are broken out on the quote at that point, right?
Yep. That's probably not a bad idea. I'll get that carried over into a feature request. Aaron, did you have a question? I see the hand up.
Yeah, my name is Erin. What I've been doing on this, because some of our clients, we just drop ship workstations to. We have the Windows, Azure, and Intune out of the box experience configured, and it works perfectly. So there's no labor associated with that. That's why I personally don't ever include a labor replacement cost in my replacement cost for the device. What you can do is down at the bottom, if you keep scrolling, you can link an artifact to the recommendation, and that's where we can attach the quote. If there is one, or let's say it's a project that they have kind of punted down the roadmap a while, then we can attach previous iterations of the quotes that have already been sent to them so that we can discuss it if they have questions.
Yeah, I mean, this is designed to be internal facing. So when you go into presentation view, that's not going to show up. So I think the difference in what you're talking about, what Brian's talking about, is having something public facing. So when I'm showing this to them, I can link them right to the quote. So I see the use case for both. They actually created that artifacts field for me, because when I ran my MSP, I would go quote something to a customer. They wouldn't take it on day one, and 6 months later they'd go, hey, I want to do that thing. And I'd go, crap, what was the bill of materials for that? And so this was for me to load bill of materials or anything like that, or the original quote that went out to the customer. But, a couple different use cases there, both of them great. But I think we probably as a platform need to figure out how to solve for both.
Awesome.
But just give some thought to when you quote, are you setting yourself up for the customer to say, you told me this is going to be $1,000, it's actually $1,500. You're moving the goalpost at the last minute. If you're not charging labor above and beyond, if all that is all wrapped in or whatever, you're in a good place. But the call out from us is just make sure you don't make the impression that you move the goalpost at the last minute.
One quick follow-up. How would you recommend handling peripherals, like a large external monitor and docking stations that can add, many hundreds of dollars to the quote?
Yeah, I think that depends on your internal process, and you have to work with the customer on that. Some customers will say, hey, if it's $200 or less, don't worry about it. We don't need to inventory it. But there may come a world where you need to inventory those products and create them as configurations in your source of truth. So whether it's IT Glue or ConnectWise or Hoodoo or whatever, and then they'll come over and you can assign replacement costs to them. Otherwise, you get in that scenario where, is this a high-end laptop or a low-end laptop based on how many things plug into it? That gets really hard to keep track of.
Right. Okay.
And I'll tell you, at my MSP, we had this discussion with our biggest client about big battery backups, and they wanted to inventory every single battery backup. So part of inventory was once a month, or I'm sorry, once a quarter, us sending them a spreadsheet going, this is what we think you have in this location. Run around and make sure it's all still there, and send us back any updates and changes, and we would update and change it. But at some point you get to where some of that has to fall on the customer. You just can't take it all on yourself unless you're charging that customer an arm and a leg.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Good questions. Great conversations. Love it. Love it. So we went ahead and saved this recommendation. I'll show you the recommendations board real quick. and it's got to be here somewhere. We have so many. Why don't I see it? Oh, there it is. It's in the bottom. Of course, it's in the bottom. So that, as you can see, this is the recommendations page. It's on the list form. It's on the bottom. So right there. We'll go back to the recommendations page because I want to show you guys the roadmap. So the second piece that we wanted to do was assessments. Recommendations through assessments. So from the assessments page, if you've done a couple of assessments already, you can actually just click on this assessment. Oh, no, wait, that one's 100. I don't want to click on that. Let's do this one, easier. So from here, on this assessment form view, item detail, you can see which one's at risk. Let's go with workstations. Click on that, new create recommendation pop button comes up. It's the same look as the recommendations page. Select the dates and times. So link the assets that you want to include, and I'm just going to pick the same 4. And then same customers, so same timeframes. And then I'll go put this as demo 4, new to LCI number 2. This one's in progress. So close that. That's how you make easy peasy, how you can create a recommendations through assessments and all that good stuff. Any questions on how I did that? Because it was pretty quick. All right, no questions on there. Sweet. Last place I wanted to talk about today was recommendations as far as the recommendations board. This is the list for all that stuff. Where's my demo? Did it not? I didn't save it. Awesome. Good job, Mark. Good job, Mark. Sorry, guys. Let me do that again.
It wouldn't be a proper training call if you didn't show everybody the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, no, agreed. Please don't do what I just did. We're going to redo that again and make sure everything comes back up the right way. Workstation. Okay. Shows those. Same time frame. Change the name. Oops. I'll just use a backspace. Save the recommendation. Now it should be available on our recommendations list. There it is. All right. From this view, you can actually change it to roadmap. So you can go by year. You can change reporting options, which years you want, which one's in progress, deferred, declined, all that stuff. So you can see where they are right here, 2023. And then the roadmap board. So you can see which ones are available for you. Now, the roadmap board is amazing because when you're talking to your clients, you can say, hey, Mr. Client, I know we have this device replacement coming up on the first quarter. It's already the first quarter. Will you have time to do this and all that crazy stuff? Your client comes back to you and say, you know what, Mark, I can't do it today. I can't do it this month because something happened. It's winter time, pipes broke. I got to go fix that. I don't have time. I don't have money for this budget. The coolest part about this budget board is you can actually just go ahead and move that to whatever quarter that client wants to do it at. Say, okay, Mr. Client, when would make sense for you? Of course, make use of the budget forecast as far as the budget board is budget board is concerned. So you can actually say for the next year, oops, sorry. For the next year, let's go 6 quarters. Where would it make sense? You already have contracts and subscriptions for 29,000 here. We already made a recommendation in April to June. This one's 14,000 and 27,000, so it's kind of the same. This one's too much. October and December is way too much. I wouldn't suggest, I wouldn't suggest or recommending you move this or recommendation one whole year. Of course, you got to pick and choose and say, all right, you know what? It actually makes more sense to do it either July and September, because that's when you're actually not spending too much as far as the device replacement. So we'll go back to recommendations page, board. Oh, I'm already on the board. And we're going to move that recommendation on the third quarter. Oh, that's fourth quarter, on the third quarter. From here, you can actually see that this has all changed, but it moved everything to October. So depending on your client, say, okay, does it make sense on October, or was it, do you want it in August, September? That's where you make the changes here. And then you save and close. And from here, you can actually tell on the budget forecast that has changed as well. You now have a lot more recommendations on that time frame. Any questions on what just happened and what just transpired? Any questions as a whole as far as recommendations were concerned?
Yeah, I'm gonna ask the new guy question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So with everything that you just did,
yes,
everything lived inside of lifecycle, right? Nothing got fed back from any opportunities to ConnectWise when you're dragging and dropping on this Kanban and all that. It's just, it's all recommendations from, hey, you have end of life laptop or whatever end of life, or you have thing coming up and let's go ahead and budget for it. But that's not creating an opportunity. That's not changing anything in ConnectWise, correct?
I don't believe, Alex, would you kindly weigh in?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just basically a visual, say, okay, I'll get that to you. And then you go back to ConnectWise, create the opportunity and start doing your typical sales cycle through an opportunity. But this is just visualization of it for the client.
Yep, correct.
Awesome. Thank you.
Now you do have the ability to create tickets back to ConnectWise, but that's a manual press. Like you drill into an opportunity, create a ticket from it, or a recommendation, and create a ticket from it that then you can push forward in ConnectWise into a particular whatever your workflow is in ConnectWise, whether it's turned over to a sales engineer or over to a procurement team or whatever. You can create that on whatever board and assign it to whatever human you want.
Got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Awesome.
Anybody else? We touched a lot of buttons today.
We did. All right. I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. That was it for recommendations as far as this week was concerned. I can go ahead and field more questions as far as the whole onboarding. And if you guys are, I'm not telling you guys need to be here for this and whatnot. This time is for you guys. So if you don't, if you guys have other things to do, calls, tickets, and all that good stuff, go ahead and do those. And these will be recorded, and I can send them to you and whatnot if you guys need them. So
if you joined late, I just threw the recording back out there so you can see the recordings if you need them.